Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the female solution.
Good evening. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case. And one of my favorite songs is God is Able. And I know God is able to stop Trump from violating and arresting people and having his ICE agents killing American citizens like this mother. A mother and their children now are motherless. It breaks my heart to see what he's doing to this country. He promised to, years ago, he said that he was going to come to Washington, D.C. to drain the swamp. Well, you know what? He is the swamp. Well, stay with us. We'll be back with more of On the Case right after this.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
And that is what I want. Peace for America. My God, we need peace so bad. We need Jesus to come back and help us. Well, I have a special guest. Her name is attorney Barbara Arnwine, and she is founder and president of Transformative Justice Coalition. She's a dynamite woman, and you better not mess with her. She has gone face to face with those MAGA people. And my pastor is Father Michael Flager. He says MAGA stands for Make America White Again. Woo-hoo. And you know, that's what he's doing. Welcome to On the Case. So tell me, how do you feel about what he's been doing? He has vowed to take over Cuba and Venezuela, stole two oil ships. That's piracy. That's against the law. In international law, he's violating every single thing. And he wants to take over Greenland, Cuba, and Mexico. He wants to take over the cartel in Mexico. Was he crazy? What? Is he nuts? There's still mass graves in Mexico of people who crossed the cartel. And he wants to take over them. How do you feel about this?
I think that, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you for all the great journalism you do. You have always been a guiding light and such a wonderful person to bring these exposés and knowledge to the masses. Let me say to everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. I also want to say that Donald J. Trump, has given all of you a new word that you need to have learned. If you didn't learn it last year, be sure to learn it this year. And that word is oligarchy.
Yes.
Everything you see happening It's on behalf of who? The rich. It's on behalf of who? The rich. It has nothing to do with any of us common people other than the fact that they need us to get out the way, or they need us to obey and do what they want done. I think people get confused all the time because they see this man and they think, oh, he's just conservative. He's just boisterous. He's just got too much machismo. That's not the problem, folks. He is about oligarchy. That is a form of government that is only for the oligarchs, the super, super, super rich. I mean, 400 million is in their territory range. Billionaire rich. That's who he cares about. And the fact that when he did this Venezuelan invasion, bombing, he had the nerve to get on national TV and say, what was it about, people? He didn't say about regime change. He didn't say about democracy. He didn't say about the rights of the people of Venezuela. He said it was about oil.
That's right.
Oil.
He stole the oil and the ship.
Right. And had a meeting with who today? Oil executives.
Yes.
He's making it very clear that he's about the billionaire class. And the billionaire class, they don't care about us. All they care about is lining their pockets with more and more and more and more money. You got people like Elon Musk wanting to be a trillionaire. Yes. And that's his obsession. They're not obsessed with treating people fairly. They're not obsessed with making sure people have their health care. They're not obsessed with making sure people are vaccinated. They're not trying to put money in your pockets to make sure you're making a fair wage. They're not concerned with none of that.
Yes.
All they're concerned about is their pockets, what that balance sheet says in their investment portfolio, what that balance sheet says about their holdings, their property holdings. That's all they care about. And the other thing I want everyone to look at and learn from this Venezuelan invasion bombing, that and all of this talk about Mexico, Cuba, Nigeria, Ukraine, everything that's going on about taking over Greenland. Folks, do you understand what they all have in common? It's called rare earth minerals, right?
Yes, yes. But see, he goes to these places where there are brown people, but only those with precious minerals, like you say, and oil and things like that. So it's not about regime change. It's not about control. You're right. It's about money. Lots of money.
And that's what Greenland is about, you guys. It's about the Arctic and all of the resources that Greenland controls, and all of the rare minerals in that Greenland has access to. And remember, Greenland's a predominantly white nation. But did you notice the difference in his approach? He's not talking about invasion. What's he talking about now about Greenland? Everybody picked it up. He's about bribing them with money. And giving people money if they will vote for the United States to take over their nation.
They don't want him, though. They told him to get out. Minneapolis, they told him where they killed that woman, and she was not. I don't understand Noam saying that she tried to run him down. We have the video, and they still lie. How come they do that?
And even the officer's video that Vance is, that's newly out, that Vance is touting, that J.D. Vance, vice president, is touting. When you look at it, it still doesn't make sense. I mean, the man goes to the car. He goes up to the car based on his own video. And she's, telling him she's not mad at him. She's looking just as peaceful. And he goes to the back of the car. Her wife, basically, fusses at the man, but they're not saying we're going to hurt you. We're going to ride over you. We're going to kill you. There's no threat. And basically, once her wife gets in the car, she tries to take off. And at that point, he starts shooting. Now, they're all bringing up this new thing Have you noticed how they always, what's the game book? Come on, I want to walk through the playbook.
The
And
playbook, that's right.
okay, so let's talk about the playbook. The first thing is to immediately come to the defense of the officer. We see what everybody's watching right now with Renee Macklin Good. Black folks, we've been watching this for the longest because this is what they do to us, and they're using the identical playbook. The first thing is that they come to the defense of the officer. Good officer, self-defense, trying to save his life, and out here trying to protect the public, trying to save his life. How dare people, be angry with him, or it's usually a him or a her for doing this. Second is they always demean and demonize the victim. They always try to find some way of trying to make the victim look violent, make the victim look like they were engaged in some criminal activity. So Kristi Noem, what did she immediately say? Come on, what was her first thing she said about this shooting, besides defending the officer? She called the victim, Renee Macklin Good, a domestic terrorist. And immediately on social media, all the bots started talking about how she was a domestic terrorist, that she was a white liberal maniac. Started talking about all of these demeaning images and stereotypes. But what else do they do? The third thing they love to do is to start talking about how the poor officer. They start about the officer's the real victim, right? They start in this instance. What are they saying about Ross? Johnson. They're saying that he was traumatized from the incident where he was drugged by a car for 100 yards, and they're saying a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever it was, and that this is traumatizing. But then the obvious question is, if he's traumatized, why is he on the streets? Why would you put somebody who is suffering, in your opinion, from some kind of PTSD? Why would you put him on the streets? So none of this makes sense, but they always come. It's the same game book. It's the same playbook. Yes. And they always are telling us to stay at home, let them investigate. Oh, come on. The Fox is going to investigate the slaughter at the hen house. And they always say, let us investigate. This is the same old playbook. And then they love to delay. But here you have something real new, that because ICE is involved and engaged, they lie. I should have mentioned that that's the first thing. They always lie.
Yes.
And the big lie here, what did Noem say? Not only did she call a woman a terrorist, she said they got immunity. Said that ICE has immunity. Where did she get that from? Where did she get that from? They have, there are, arguments about some limited immunity that officers have, but it's not absolute immunity. And so I don't know where she got that one from, but listen, where did she get the domestic terrorism from when she had no files, no information, didn't know this woman? It was just horrible. So it's so important for us to understand that that this administration lives by lies. If they couldn't lie, they wouldn't be able to talk. They live by lies. They do.
They do.
Everything out of their mouths are lies. Mm-hmm. And they're vicious, evil, wicked lies. They love to divide and conquer. They love to play up racial, stereotypes. And now what are they doing? They're playing up gender stereotypes. The hysterical woman, the out of her mind, woman, and you can believe me, the anti-gay stereotypes are out there too. So folks, we need to understand that this government should be ours, not theirs. And it's imperative for us to make it clear that there is a line that the government should never cross. And shooting U.S. citizens and shooting anybody unlawfully, without cause, without probable cause, making your little, your ego, that you're so upset that somebody would dare flee you, that's not under any law. And I want to clarify this because social media has got it wrong. They've been telling people, well, if you're fleeing, you could be shot and killed. That's not true. Mm-hmm. Not true. Thank you, Brian. We agree with you. They should have been fired and locked up. We agree with you. Number one, thank you. And, but one thing I was going to say is that what's very unusual in this case, and this is a new part of the playbook, is that they're saying in this one that the FBI is going to do the investigation by itself.
Well, that's a joke.
I mean, come on, everybody listening. Have you ever heard of any investigation where the state prosecutors, where the local, investigative agencies, criminal investigative agencies are not involved? Have you ever heard of such a thing where only the FBI? They usually depend upon the state prosecutors. They usually depend upon the local police to help them, the local investigative groups to help them to fully investigate a case. But here, only the FBI, they're saying that they're not going to coordinate with any other law enforcement agency. What's that about?
It's about a collusion. It's about sweeping it under the rug. We have to take a break. We'll be back with more with attorney Barbara Arnwine right after this.
Welcome to Masterforce with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending.
What's up, guys? It's Osada, the host of the Gathering of the Griots podcast, part of the Female Solution. Want you to join us every Tuesday morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And guess what we do? We interview authors of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. The books, the experiences, the lifestyles, all of it with fervor. So be there right on the Soulful Chicago Book Fair YouTube page or on the Female Solution Facebook page. We look forward to having you and all our literary essence. Peace.
We're back. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case, and my very special guest is attorney Barbara Arnwine. She's founder and president of Transformative Justice Coalition, and she is not to be messed with, I'm telling you. But attorney Arnwine, what do you think about the prejudging of this whole thing? How is that going to affect the cases? He's been losing cases left and right now, but how? I mean, he did that with New York. Remember about the 5 boys? Prejudging.
Yes. And they were innocent.
Yes.
And he was talking about executing them. He was talking about hanging them. He was talking about asking people for money. Giving them awards of money if they could prove that they, that they actually committed this crime. All of these things, folks. This man, the difference, Chinta, between the man we're talking about today and the man back there in the Central Park 5 lies, the lies he ran then. He's not stopped lying, folks. But now there's something wrong up here.
Yes.
Something, it's not just the morality. I mean, Epstein is about immorality. It's about exploiting and sexually assaulting and criminally assaulting young girls. This is about something worse, is that he's beginning to not be, if you notice, he's stuttering, stammering.
Dementia.
Yes, you got it. There's something wrong, folks, if you don't see it. And what's the most dangerous thing? What is the most dangerous thing you could think about when you think about a household? The most dangerous thing is a child having a gun, right, Chinta? Mm-hmm. You don't want a child with a gun. Why? because they're immature. They don't have the knowledge, the dexterity. They're going to hurt somebody, and they're going to exercise bad judgment. They're going to fantasize. So you don't ever want a child, a real child near a gun. And yet here we got a president who is acting like a child.
Yes.
Number one thing on his mind isn't, preventing people from having to pay all these high premiums. Number one thing on his mind isn't preventing people from starving because SNAP is being cut. In fact, he wants to cut more, he wants to make sure that every, quote, blue state can't get any child care money, all the rest of this nonsense. But what we got to understand is that he is totally obsessed with himself, with making money, and with revenge. They have gone after Letitia James 3 times now, unsuccessfully.
Well, one of our viewers, Arlene Crawford, said America is becoming a fascist country. She says that man must be impeached. Do you think that he will be impeached this time?
Oh, you heard what he said, everybody. Thank you, Arlene. That is so perceptive, because be clear that this, if people didn't read it, a few days ago, he was at a retreat of Republicans. Republican GOP or, actual legislative types. And he had the nerve to say that it would be a horrible thing if the 2026 midterms ended up with a new Congress that was controlled by Democrats in essence, because he would be impeached again.
Now that would be an incentive for us to come out and vote against it.
Hey, come on, people.
That's the commercial.
You're right.
That's a get out to vote commercial for us.
Yes, people, please. Vote for your interests. I mean, he's got a Supreme Court that's about to come out sometime in the next several weeks, or earlier, with a horrible case called Louisiana versus Calais that is designed to hurt Black political power. They want to make it such that a whole lot of African American, and let me be clear, Latino, it's not just Black, it's Black and brown and Native American and Asian. They don't want anybody to have power but white men. And you have to understand that he is actually, supporting his Justice Department, is supporting a position before the Supreme Court that is arguing that the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which gave us the right to be free of racial discrimination in voting on the account of our race, that they're arguing, his Justice Department is arguing that act should be curtailed or eliminated. The state of Louisiana and others actually argued that the Voting Rights Act itself, it's been around for 60 plus years, it'll be 61 years in August, that the Voting Rights Act itself is unconstitutional. That's what they're arguing. That for our right to be free of racial discrimination in voting and redistricting is somehow unconstitutional. Well, they're back to Dred Scott, these people.
Right. But that's part of their Project 2025.
Yes.
They want to turn the civil rights clock back, and they are afraid of the browning and the blackening of America. And that's why also he's trying to take over these countries so America can be white again. But it was never white again.
But Chinta, therein lies the contradiction with Renee Good. Because Renee Good was a white woman. And the great replacement theory says that, the great white replacement theory says that the most important asset in that battle to prevent white replacement is women. White women who could have babies. And remember when they killed Heather Heyer in Charlottesville, the bots got all over internet and all over the dark web saying good, because even though she was a white woman, she had never had any children. And therefore she wasn't helping to fight the great white replacement. And so, interestingly, here's a white woman who had what? 3 children. Three.
Right.
But they hate her because of her ideology, because she had the nerve to want to protect somebody brown. She had the nerve to want to be against their MAGA ideology. And it's like they, they used to call people in lovers. And then they would call white people who, were pro civil rights, they would call them in lovers, and they would call them race traitors. And in their equivalency, she is a race traitor. So they have tried to, to dehumanize her in that way too, that she's not, totally on their side. So it's wicked. It's wicked. I keep telling people that this crew that's in the White House right now, if you haven't scoped them out, please do, because your, Otis Moss III has totally told you who they are. They are eugenicists. They believe in their genetic superiority. They believe that they are genetically superior. They got this delusional mess in their head, because there's no way on earth that Elon Musk is superior to many of the people that we know, including a Barack and a whole lot of other folks, or even has the moral efficiency or belief of somebody as beautiful as Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. We just gotta understand that in their opinion, not only do they believe that people of color are inferior, they believe poor white people are inferior.
But how could they think they're intelligent when they make so many stupid mistakes? Like, Kristi Noem is the dumbest person. Isn't that the one who shot her own dog?
Right. Right.
I mean, who does that?
But when you see her, all dolled up, bringing all these hairdressers and people to doll her up before she goes and take pictures before prison camps, you realize that's sick. That's real sick. That's real sick, people. That kind of narcissism that you see in Trump and in Elon and all of these people, it's runaway insanity. And I've been telling people since last year, and Otis Moss, the third, warned everybody that they want Greenland. If you've been reading, Peter Thiel wants Greenland. And and he's even different. It's not just about the rare earth minerals. He wants to rule it. He wants to govern it. So it's just, and why do you think J.D. Vance, the first international trip, one of the first international trips he took was where? To Greenland, remember?
Yes.
And all of this is their obsession. I just think that we have to be honest about, what's happening. But what I want everyone to know, I hope you will all say one thing constantly: not in my name.
Mm-hmm. Not on my watch.
Don't people in my name.
Yep.
Don't invade their nations in my name.
Right. So, this man, he's just, I believe it's a cult that they have, because they all act the same. They say the playbook, the Republican playbook. I've been saying this for a long time, but my fear is that you've got a demented, diminishing mental president who has his finger on the nuke.
That's scary.
That is very scary.
And like I said, the 5-year-old mentality, right? Got a 8-year-old mentality running around with all this power. It's dangerous. And they think they're playing toy soldiers.
Yes.
They think they're playing toy soldiers or video games.
Yes.
When they, blowing up those little ships in the Caribbean, talking about, they're bringing in all these drugs. Come on, folks. If he cared about drugs, who did he just pardon? The former president of Honduras, who was a drug dealer.
400 tons of cocaine.
Thank you. Please. Ain't no cocaine growing in Venezuela. Cocaine is might pass through Venezuela sometimes, but cocaine is not a Venezuelan thing, but they got
No.
all of you believing that, just like you believed many, many years ago in the Libyan death squads. I mean, they can make you believe anything because they will lie to you. And if you're not critically thinking, if you're not examining them, if you're not looking and reading your Bible about the evil powers and principalities, if you don't understand what you're up against, you can fall for it.
Absolutely. And you know, he did not mention about taking on China. That's where a
You
lot of
noticed
drugs come from.
Oh, listen, everybody, I mean, when he bombed Nigeria,
Yeah.
About a month ago, when he bombed Nigeria, he said that it was because they were, quote, persecuting Christians. Do you know where it's illegal to carry a Bible, to import a Bible into their country? What about Saudi Arabia? What about the criminal prosecution of Christians in China? What about the criminal prosecution of Christians in India? I mean, come on, folks. Don't fall for nonsense. If he really cared, he would be on a rampage on all of those countries. But he had a whole meeting with Xi of China and didn't raise anything about Christians. Not a word.
But
When that's one of the most persecuting countries. Saudi, he had BSM, BMS, here in the White House. What word did you hear about Christians?
But he doesn't care about Christians,
right?
Because he has said publicly he is not a Christian, but he depends on the what's the name of those ministers? That's
the prosperity ministers.
Evangelicals. He depends on those evangelicals, and they believe that God sent him to them. Can you believe that?
Oh yes. I mean, this nation is always obsessed, generation to generation, with the great white hope, and these Christian, white Christian nationalists, ought to be. They are ashamed. But you understand that this is continuing tradition, because you got to go back to the slave Bible. Take some time, wherever you are, people, look up the slave Bible and find out what that slave Bible was.
What was it?
Oh, it was a Bible with about 14 books in it. Interestingly, guess what's not in the Bible, Chinta? What book of the Bible do you think is missing in the slave Bible?
I don't know.
Try Exodus.
Okay.
Try almost the entire Petrarch, the first 3 books, because they're they don't want to talk about no anti-slavery anything. So they took free, let my people go, all that stuff. So they have only the Timothy and only a couple books in it that talk about being obedient to servants being obedient to their masters and blah blah blah. And that slave Bible not only was used in the U.S., it was used all over the Caribbean and probably throughout the African diaspora. There are different versions of the slave Bible, but when you see it, what really strikes you is how thin it is. And because they excluded any book that talked about freedom, any book that talked about human equality, any book that talked about freedom. So I just think that you have to really look at all of this, folks.
So, it's so much to look at. It's really a lot to look at with this man. But I'm still afraid of him getting us involved in a war, because he's alienating us from our allies. They think he's crazy. They talk about him. They talked about him before when he was in the office for the first time. But it's scary, because you've got France, and what they're doing now is forming their own coalition. We are no longer the world's leader.
Right. And it's because he's the other evil is that global movements are real, and there's a real global movement of authoritarians. And authoritarianism is a fascism. is a requirement for oligarchy. How you going to have a few little rich people ruling everybody? You got to have some kind of, force of power. You got to have some kind of ability to stop people from, teaching and fighting against your illegal and unlawful, unconstitutional policies. So there's this movement globally towards authoritarianism. And what we got to do as the U.S. citizens is we got to be part of the global pro-democracy movement. And that means we are, and the pro-liberation movement, and the pro-racial justice movement. It's global, folks. Anybody who wants to give you the kind of, we just going to do it here in the U.S., don't be deceived. You got to fight wherever you can. You got to have allies. W.E. Du Bois knew that. Marcus Garvey knew that. Frederick Douglass knew it. Come on. We got to be clear about our fight and who we are. I mean, look at that map, that beautiful Africa. South Africa, we fought, with Mandela, with the ANC. People got to understand that some of the most genius works in the world have come out of this beautiful continent called Africa, but they lie on it. Not only do they lie about our history, they don't want anybody to teach it. They're running around banning books, banning our Black history books. They don't want to not talk about African history. They don't want to talk about African American history. Don't want you to know there was a Ruby Bridges. Don't want you to know there was a Rosa Parks. Don't want you to know these things. I mean, these people are so backwards. And so I want to be clear. We've been talking about a lot of forces. Oligarchy is a ruling theory that they're driven by. They believe in this genetic madness, this eugenics madness. They are driven. A lot of their followers are driven by white supremacy, supremacist thoughts, with underlying the whole notion of the great white replacement theory. But they're also, as I was, talking about, they're driven by, authoritarianism. They're driven by just playing, and oligarchy, of course, is all about playing greed and no respect for the planet, no respect for climate justice, no respect for anything. And they're driven by, some of them are driven by patriarchy. So they don't want women in power unless they're Christy Nolan or Pam Bondi, who's going to do whatever they say do.
They're lapdogs.
Huh?
They're lapdogs.
Thank you. That's a great word.
I think we have a caller on the line, Brian.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Hello.
You have a question, Brian?
And I was calling to attorney. You're the attorney,
yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is your, if I may ask, what is your legal expertise? What legal?
He wants to know, what is your legal expertise?
Oh, I'm a multi-decade lawyer who was trained at Duke University Law School, and I head up the Transformative Justice Coalition. Used to head up for many years the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and the Law, one of the largest civil rights legal organizations in the country. And I work and specialize in voting rights, but I have a huge background in African American history and a strong background in economics.
She's brilliant, Brian. I've known her for years.
Okay, you're right. I believe it. Yes, I believe it. Okay, what I would like to do, if I could get your, we can exchange contact information because I'm an advocate myself.
Oh, thank you.
All right. You can leave it with our engineer.
I'm sorry.
You can leave it with Dr. Naima Latif. She'll take it and give it to her, okay?
Okay, yes, I'll definitely do that. Okay, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for calling, Brian.
But Brian, I'm so glad Brian called, because Chinta, he raised something that is so important. Did you hear what he called himself? He's an advocate, and he's an activist. Folks, what I really want to say to everyone out there, Don't be telling me that you're so depressed that you're going to sleep all day and all night. Don't tell me that there's nothing that can be done about this, so you're not going to do anything. Don't tell me that. You know, what I really want everybody is to be a Brian. You know, be an advocate, educate yourself,
Yes.
unite with others, protest, be part of the movement, but vote. And I need you to be right now. Right now, I know it's January. I know the elections, the final election is in November. I'm quite aware. And I know that some people don't have midterms until, late, but I know the March midterm is coming up for Illinois, right?
March 17th. March 17th.
So what I want you to do is when you look in that beautiful mirror in the morning and you see yourself, tell yourself that I am a voting rights advocate. Tell yourself I'm a champion. Tell yourself I'm going to make the difference. Tell yourself that. Speak power into your life. Speak power into your being. Don't let anyone try to disillusion you. Don't let anyone discourage you.
Yes.
Don't let anyone disempower you. You should be saying right now that on election day, I'm not only am I going to be at the polls, but I'm going to bring those other people with me. Not, the most powerful woman in 2017. And I've always loved this story so much. When Doug Jones was running for Senate in Alabama, there was this sister who was an elderly Black woman who didn't have a lot of money, but she had two things. She had a car and she had gas money. She took scores of people to vote. She gave them rides. She found out where, people who needed rides, and she picked them up and gave them rides to the polls. That is my kind of advocate. That's a person who said, I'm going to start right where I am, and I'm going to make a difference right where I am. If your church isn't registering voters, if your church isn't talking about people voting and getting out there, find a new one, and or you started in your church. Make sure you have a voting rights ministry within your church. Yes. It can be part of your social justice ministry, whatever, but be part of that. Your organization, your Divine Nine, what are they doing? Are they making sure that people are registering? Are they making sure that people are voting? Are they supporting Rise to the Polls? Are they supporting all of these efforts to make sure that people can vote? If you're in one of those states where they got these voter IDs, are you working with vote writers and others to make sure that people have their IDs? I mean, come on. This is the time where you can make the difference. You're needed in this moment. You're not superfluous. Don't let anybody just act like, somehow you're some kind of debris. You are here because God put you here in this moment. Just like we got the evil of Trump that we got to fight, we got the reality that the good of people who are good must be manifest. We must do the good deeds, do the good works, run the good race.
And March 17th should be a day that you get even with what he has done to us. It's a get even day. So what do you think about Representative Danny Davis said that Trump is trying to be a dictator like his mentor? And I said, well, who is his mentor? And he said, Putin. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, Putin is part of that, what I talked about, the global authoritarians. But the problem with Putin is that I believe, and I know a lot of people do, that Putin has some hold over Trump.
I do
it's
too.
Not just blind admiration. That there's some, we know that he was stupid enough to go to Russia. We know it was during the time he was doing all this outrageous, sexual interactions, unwanted to women. We know that there's other stuff that was going on, and we don't know what, but we know one thing, that the kind of how he just bows down to Putin when Putin
the red carpet.
Hey, and people, Russia has nothing nowhere as close to as powerful as the U.S. Don't get fooled. I mean, the leading powers in this world are China, India, and then when it comes to, size, army size, etc. Don't be fooled by all of this. Taiwan has more intellectual, technological power than Russia will ever have. South Korea, come on, don't be fooled by his bowing down to this man. Something's out of whack. Something's wrong, because Putin ain't nothing but a murderous dictator.
But they act like they're lovers. I do. They act like they're lovers. Dictator.
But think about it. One thing I always say about Elon Musk, he's a mass murderer. When he destroyed USAID, made that his number one goal to destroy USAID, he knew that African people would die. The fact that they're now saying 9 million people have died or more will die because of what he did, he knew that. In fact, the projection is that it's going to be higher than that. He knew what he was doing. That's mass murder. I don't care what you call it. And you run around admiring these people that are demented, hateful, cruel. And you got the nerve to say you're a Christian. Please, people. Renee Macklin Good was a Christian. Renee Macklin Good was a mom. She was a poet. She was a writer. She was an artist. She was a person who deserved to be alive right now, like so many other people, like Philandro Castile, like George Floyd, like so many other people who deserve to never have their lives taken from them. Eric Gardner, so many people, Sandra Bland, you can talk about, just all the Black
and the list goes on. Right. We have to take a break. We'll be back with more with attorney Barbara Arnwine right after this.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair.
Hey family, this is Charles Humphrey of MCH Publishing, and I'm here with Ashada, and we at the Soulful Chicago Book what?
This is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, slamming.
We getting down in Hyde Park. Just run it down, my sister. Just tell us, for the people, a little bit about what we're doing here today and why.
This is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, and this month is very important. I feel like we don't give it the type of recognition that it needs, but beyond that, I do all things literary, and we have so many ancestors that have taken a tradition of writing and done great things. Well, we have those of us that are carrying on that tradition, and nobody knows about them until now. So the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair is allowing us to tell our stories according to ourselves for our own benefit. And it's just beautiful. I wish you could have been here today if you wasn't here. But if you were, it's been amazing. People came in consistently, children, and we have children's authors. We have nonfiction authors. We have fiction authors. This is really good. And it's about taking our own power in our own hands and doing what we do on the literary tip, though.
Right.
I got to work, but I can't help it. Everything going to school. Now I just about bring my African shit like this. Bring in the African shit.
And we're back. I'm Chinta Strausberg, producer and host of On the Case. My very special guest is attorney Barbara Arnwine, and she is founder and president of Transformative Justice Coalition. And attorney Arnwine, what do you think about some of the blacks who, like the last election, voted for Trump? What can we tell them?
Well, you can't stop everyone. I mean, Dr. King, not everybody marched with Dr. King. Don't get it confused. People talking about, oh, they marched, they were there. Come on. There's so many people who stayed at home. I always remind people, the letter from the Birmingham jail was written not to criticize the Congress. It was written to criticize those people who were telling him not to march, who were telling King not to march, not to be active, who were, gradualists, incrementalists. We need to understand that you're never going to have 100%. But what you need is those who are committed and true and will fight for your rights. What Harriet Tubman? Oh my goodness! Look, my sister. Look at just think about our history, about the amazing people, the Ella Bakers, the just the Malcolm X and stuff, Fred Hamptons, all the amazing people who have fought. And I just want us to understand that you don't sit around. I don't worry about them. I worry about the people who sit on their couch and say, oh, I don't think I can vote, who the people who give up. We gotta re-energize some folks. 19 million people who have registered, and I'm just talking facts, not because I live in a nonpartisan universe. I don't like Trump, that's clear. But that's not because I just hate all Republicans or something like that. I look at people's positions and their policies and their practices, and that's what drives what I do and should drive what you do. So I want you to think, very, very strongly about those people who did not vote, the 19 million registered Democrats who sat home on election day 2024. Some of them because they didn't want to vote for a woman. Oh my God, help me. And some of them because they just didn't think Trump would be, quote, this bad. Some of them because they thought, oh, the Dems are just as bad as the Republicans. And that's all they thought about. They didn't think about whose policies or what policies. They didn't think. And what I want is I want you to find all them people and say, I don't care. This year, I need you to vote. I don't care, make up for it. Make up for it. Make up for not voting in 2024. Because when you're seeing your friends hurting because they lost a job, 300,000 Black women, some people say it's as much as 600,000, have lost their jobs. Mm-hmm. And who do you think got those jobs? White men. I'm just telling the truth. Because, and that should not be that, this anti-DEI movement is hurting all of us. How many of you have had more people need to borrow money, more people needing to come and eat with you, more people homeless, having to move around because they have nowhere to stay? This is a consequence of these policies. And if you sat on your couch, if you didn't vote in 2024, then you need to take some responsibility for what we're suffering right now. Absolutely. And don't be fooled in the future. Don't be told that you're going to get some big check, from the government, that's why you should vote this or that way. Don't be told that everything is the same and you can't make a change, and that no matter what you do, nothing's going to be different. Don't believe that. Because if you lived in a city like Baltimore, where we're seeing, such a big drop in the crime rate, where you're seeing opportunities coming up, where you got a Wes Moore who's working, to make sure that there's more, provisions. When you have a good elected official, that's when you realize what power can really look like. But you got to vote correctly, you got to educate yourself, and you got to be involved.
Absolutely. But the reason I brought that up about the blacks voting for Trump is because so many black men told me that they were going to vote for him because that he was an ex-felon and they were an ex-felon. And
don't be fooled. It ain't the same thing. He had billionaire lawyers working for him. Did you? You are seriously? I mean, and even with all that nonsense, only 12% of black men voted for him. This nonsense that they put out about 21% was a lie. Like I tell you, they love the lie. He increased his margin, I think, from 8% to 12%. Among black men. He doesn't deserve 12%, but that's what he got. And still, black men were the highest voters for Harris of all men. So let's not get confused, people. Let's give our flowers to where they belong. And I love my brothers, but I do know that they have been targeted and that they will be targeted again. Because we saw it in New Jersey. When we went into New Jersey, in early October, people were saying, all these articles were out saying black people aren't going to vote. Black men definitely aren't going to vote. That there's going to be this horrible, non-existent black voter turnout. What did we do? We didn't just sit up there and say, okay. We got on that bus, that John Lewis Good Trouble vote bus. We traveled to 11 counties of the 21 counties in New Jersey. We had 77 activations, meaning 77 events. Get out the vote, turn people out, rise to the polls. We did all of that. And with the American Federation of Teachers and so many other great groups that were there, with the NAACP from New Jersey, with the League of Women Voters, with the New Jersey Center for Social and Racial for Social Justice, with so many great groups, we all got together and we did it together, and it turned out to be what? Record-breaking turnout for Black people. Versus everybody said it was going to be the worst turnout. We control what the narrative is. We should control what the reality is on the street. Let's do it. It can be done. I do it. You can do it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Okay, we have about 2 minutes left. What are you going to be doing? I know you're going to be making trouble for somebody.
We're going to be active in 29 states.
Wow.
We're going to be very active in at least 12. We look forward to, having we're going to pull out that John Lewis bus. We're going to roll. Look for us in a whole lot of places. And I just, if I may, in concluding, can I give a shout out to my co-leader, Darrell Jones?
Yes.
Attorney Darrell Jones, for all of what he does, to your Chicago-based beautiful people who work so closely with Transformative Justice Coalition, Janita Dawkins, who's on our staff, who's located in Chicago. May I give much love to my, leaders like Cameron Barnes, Edward Ward, Betty Magnus. We love you, Betty. And a big shout out to Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, Senior and Junior, and to my beloved Jonathan Jackson. Thank you for all that you do. Much love to you. You inspire me. And I'm grateful to every single person who is out there trying to make a difference.
And when are you coming to Chicago? We've got less than 60 seconds.
As soon as I can, because I'm overdue to come back to Chicago. So I'm hoping it'll be, if not this month, next month.
Attorney Barbara Arnwine, thank you so much, President and founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition. I appreciate your coming on the case and look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. With the big bus.
You got it. Thank you, Chinta, for all that you do. Thank you for all your sharing of knowledge. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll see all of you next Friday, I'm sorry. And I do have a guest for you, and I'll let Dr. Lateef know about who that person is. But right now, I'm going to say goodbye to my good friend, Attorney Barbara Arnwine. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.